You know how you can fall down a rabbit hole online? You click one recommended video, then another, and suddenly an hour's gone by and you're wondering, wait, how did I even get here? We've all done it. But for some people, that journey goes to a much, much darker place. So today, we're going to dive into one of the biggest questions of our time. How does online radicalization actually work?
And really, the whole debate boils down to this single question. Who's responsible? Are people already looking for extreme stuff because of what they believe? Or are the algorithms we use every day actually pushing them in that direction? Is this about the person or the platform? Let's unpack the research.
All right, so let's start with the first argument, which is all about the user. The idea here is that radicalization doesn't just pop up out of nowhere on a screen. Nope, it actually starts inside someone's head with a very specific way of seeing the world, and it's there long before they find some echo chamber online.
At the very heart of this idea is something that researchers call the conspiratorial mindset. Now, this isn't about believing in one specific conspiracy, like who was really behind some historical event. It's much broader than that. Think of it more like a lens, a pair of glasses that make someone naturally inclined to see powerful, hidden forces pulling the strings behind everything.
Which, leads to a huge question. Is this a mindset people get after they join these online groups, or are they showing up with it on day one? Well, a pretty fascinating study on Reddit tried to figure that out.
So here's how they did it, and it's pretty clever. The researchers looked at the language people were using in totally normal mainstream subreddits, places for hobbies or news. They wanted to see what was a better predictor of how someone talked, their own internal mindset or the influence of a conspiracy-focused community they might join later on.
And the results were, well, they were kind of staggering. A machine learning model, just by analyzing someone's posts in those mainstream forums, could predict with 87% accuracy if that person would eventually go on to join a major conspiracy subreddit.
And here's the kicker: the timing. This prediction wasn't based on what they said right before they joined. No, these unique linguistic fingerprints, these signs of that conspiratorial mindset, were there in their writing years earlier. It strongly suggests they already had this worldview. They weren't converted by the platform.
This chart just drives the whole point home. The model's accuracy barely even budged after they joined the conspiracy forums, going from 87 to 88%. I mean, a 1% difference is basically nothing. It tells us the community didn't really change them. They were just looking for a place that already matched how they thought.
So, case closed, right? It's all on the user? Well, not so fast. Is that really the whole story? Does the platform just get a free pass? Let's flip to our next section because another group of researchers looked at this from the complete opposite direction, focusing entirely on the machine.
The way they designed this next experiment was really smart. Researchers basically created a bunch of automated bots on 3 different platforms. They had one bot interact with some far-right content, another with totally neutral stuff, and then they just sat back and watched to see what the algorithms would recommend to each one.
And just so you get the stakes here, especially on YouTube, check out this quote. 70% of what people are watching comes from recommendations. That means the algorithm isn't just a side feature, it's pretty much the main event. Its power is just immense.
And the results for YouTube? They were crystal clear. The bot that showed just a little interest in far-right content started getting recommended twice as much extreme content. The study actually called it a radicalization pipeline, where the algorithm was actively funneling the bot toward more extreme material. But here's the twist. When they ran the exact same experiment over on Reddit and Gab, that effect just vanished. Their algorithms didn't seem to do the same thing. And this is a super important point. Not all platforms are the same. Not all algorithms are built to act this way.
So, let's pull back. We've got 2 really powerful findings. One study points the finger at the user's pre-existing mindset. The other shows that at least some platforms are actively pushing extreme content. So which one is it? Well, as it usually turns out, the real answer is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, the most accurate picture isn't user or machine, it's user and machine. It's what happens when you have a person who is already predisposed to these ideas and they land on a platform that has a built-in amplification effect. When those two meet, you get this massive acceleration into extremism.
So let's connect all the dots one last time. It starts with a person who already has that conspiratorial lens. They go online looking for content that confirms what they already suspect is true. Now, if they happen to land on a platform like the one in the second study, the algorithm sees that interest and starts feeding them more and more intense versions of that same content. And that's how you get this powerful, radicalizing feedback loop.
Understanding this dance between the user and the machine is so important because it totally changes how we need to think about fixing the problem. I mean, if the problem isn't just one thing, then the solution can't be just one thing either.
So you end up with two totally different toolkits for how to solve this. If you're focused on the user, you're talking about solutions like media literacy, education, and support systems. But if you're focused on the machine, you're talking about things like algorithmic transparency and independent audits of these platforms. Each diagnosis points to a different cure.
But the real takeaway here, from looking at all this research together, is that you can't just pick one. Any effective strategy has to attack the problem from both sides. We have to support the people who are vulnerable, while also demanding that the platforms take responsibility for the technology they've built.
It's this incredibly complex dance, isn't it, between our own psychology and the coded architecture of these platforms we use every single day. So, I guess the final question is for you. Knowing that both your own mindset and the machine are always at play, how does that change the way you'll look at what pops up next in your feed?